back to Drinking with Dana. It's good to see you all. Let's see. It's been a heck of a day, and my face is still slightly numb from electrolysis, so it's going to be a wild one today. First of all, hi to Tanya Marie, Morning Wind. I saw Darth Christoph in there, and of course, Winter Vespers. Hi to you all. Also, I saw that my niece down in Texas has followed me on YouTube. So, hi there, Josie. Good to see you. Hope you're watching. Hope you're safe down there. And also to everyone else on YouTube and here on Twitch, it's good to see you. Glad you're here. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. All that good stuff. Let's see. Also, Lori is going to be in her office shouting from the Peanut Gallery this time, so she says hello. And everyone's just saying hi in the chat right now. Let's see. What else is going on? Just one more month until our 1 year anniversary on the show. I'm not planning on doing anything special. I probably should. If I were better at this, I would do like a clip show or something so I could take a week off. But that would require more editing, I think, than actually doing this full show. I've been talking for a while about Vigilantes Union 13, which is the superhero game I'm playing over on the Transverse. And it's the first episode, which heavily features my character, is going to be out tomorrow on the YouTube page for the Transverse. Just look for it there, or do a search for VU 13 or Vigilantes Union 13, not Villains Union. That's a different show. But you'll actually get to meet my character Amber, who I absolutely adore. She basically, well, I won't spoil anything. Anyway, but I hope you get the chance to check that out. Let's see. I'll try and remember to leave a link in the comments on the YouTube page. I'm not sure I have anything here for that, but actually, let me check this here. Oh, gosh darn it! I always forget to do that. Did that work? Nope, that didn't work. I don't have that programmed in yet. Well, let me try this. Nope. Oh well. Most of the folks here know the Transverse anyway. But yeah, just check out their YouTube page. I'll try and have a link. Let's see. Sorry, I have some stuff warming up over here, and it's starting to make noise. So, as I said, I'm a little frazzled today. Let me see what I can do to fix that with a drink. So, let's go straight on ahead. By the way, I had to readjust the camera holder and everything from being outside last week. So let me know if I'm looking and sounding okay. I was listening back to the Vigilantes Union, and it sounded like I need to get a better microphone. But that's for another time. Anyway, all right. So drink, yes, drink. Tonight's first drink. Tanya is saying sound is fine and I look great. Thank you. That's very kind. I assume you mean the picture quality is good. So tonight's first drink is a Blackberry Champagne Mule. I wasn't actually able to find a source for this. It's been kind of making the rounds on a bunch of the Pinterest pages and Instagram foodie blog things. And none of those ever have any history or attribution or anything like that I can find. So this, I'm just going to present it as is. I found it on a site called Half Baked Harvest by Tegan Gerard. But I also saw it on like half a dozen other pages with no attribution. So I don't know who actually invented this one, but I tried it out and it was good. So here you go. Now, it's a Champagne Mule, and I was confused a little bit because I know a mule is a type of buck, And I was trying to figure out what the difference is. I know a buck is basically something with citrus and ginger beer in it. This apparently a mule. The definition is it's a buck. Basically, it contains specifically ginger beer and lime. So that's the difference. And that's all there is to. I'm going to start off with my shaker here. Let's make sure it's on camera. And I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of blackberries to it. Now, these are blackberries that I picked, actually I picked these a while ago. But they're kind of mushed up already. And so I'm going to just go ahead and put some of that extra juice in there because I like blackberry juice. And the whole point is we're going to muddle these, and this is going to be all blackberry juice just about because the blackberries are not coming out. Which is good because that means there's less pulp in there, but in theory you would want a 1/4 cup of actual blackberries, and like I say, you can just use the frozen ones, or ones you have frozen, or ones you buy that are frozen. I picked these so I know what they're like. Also, I've made this drink now. This will be the 3rd time I've made it, and I know a few other things about it, which I'll get to in a minute. So 1/4 cup of blackberries here, and I'm going to take a second to grab this and clean up the blackberry juice that I spilled all over, just so I don't lean against the counter and get it on my dress. So I'll wash that out later. And next thing we're going to add, let's see what, Morning Wind is saying, blackberry juice, yes. Oh, and my dress does have pockets, yes. There's a reason why I own 2 of these in different colors. It's incredibly comfy, just the right length. I love it. And nice and comfy in the summertime too. So yes, next thing we're gonna add is 8 mint leaves. I just went out and picked this earlier. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Got that one mostly in. And 8. So we're going to muddle these, but we need something to muddle them with. And it says the juice of half a lime. Now, it's a really inaccurate measurement. I know the limes I use, half a lime is about 1 ounce to 1.5 ounces, closer to 1 ounce of juice. Even though they're pretty small, they're just packed with lime, all the way to the edge there. The skin is very thin on these. But yeah, so it's roughly 1 ounce of juice going in there. And I know I berate them for saying the juice of half a lime when my go-to gin and tonic recipe calls for the juice of half a lime, and I made that recipe up. So we will go with that. Oh, one other thing I was going to mention is that Pride is coming up. Pride starts tomorrow. So happy Pride, everyone. You may be wondering if I'm going to do a big special of Pride drinks, and the answer to that is no. And there's a reason for that, which is most Pride drinks are crap. And I say that lovingly. But most Pride drinks are meant to be drunk at Pride, and they're either an existing drink given a silly name for Pride, or there's something like, slushies in Pride colors, or, a Pousse Cafe, well, if you can find a Pousse Cafe that's layered in rainbow colors, or something like that. And I went out to dinner a couple weeks ago at a gay-owned restaurant down nearby, and they've already started. They have the banana hammock cocktail, things like that start happening. But most of them are, unless you go to a good place that just decided to name things fun for Pride, there is no official cocktail of Pride that I found. There's no official trans cocktail, no official gay cocktail or anything like that. It's, I think the official cocktail of Pride is whatever someone hands you, and which is, now that I'm saying it out loud, not a very safe thing to have. Let's see. Oh my God, Morning Wind, thank you. Winter Vespers, thank you both. They cheered 100 bits. We're very close to a hype train, which I thank you both. That's amazing. I really appreciate that. And let's see, Winter Vespers commented that it's Pride Eve. And Tanya Marie gave heart hand with the trans flag in it. Yes, it is. Don't get me wrong, I'm doing a bunch of stuff for Pride, but I'm going to go to Pride in the Park this weekend in Seattle. If you're around going, I'm not like doing anything at it. I'm just hanging out there. Lots of great Pride events here in Seattle. Sympathies to anyone down in Florida or Texas or any other place where the Pride events are being canceled. My heart goes out to you. Stay safe. And all the big parades and everything are so corporate anyway. Just, have fun, be gay with your friends, stay safe. So, Winter Vesper says, we need a cocktail and an anthem for Pride. I agree. I've been thinking about it, and I was trying to make a trans cocktail, and I've been racking my brain on it and just haven't come up with anything yet. In the meantime, I need to finish this cocktail. So I mentioned that I've made this a few times before, and I know these blackberries because these are the ones I've used. And they're still a little on the tart side, and that with an ounce or so of lime juice and not that much to sweeten it needs at least a half an ounce of simple syrup. So I'm going to add that now. Now, if you were to ask Lori, she'd say it needs a lot more simple syrup than that. But that's Lori for you. Since I'm making this for myself, I'm going to go with half an ounce. But certainly any blackberries, make it, taste it. If it needs more simple syrup, or it needs some simple syrup, just add it in and stir it up. Or I would actually reshake it with the simple syrup added just to mix it in better. The first time I did it, the simple syrup all went right to the bottom, and it didn't really incorporate well. So, got my muddler, and although this is more juice from the blackberries than blackberries, we want to get all the remaining juice out of those blackberries. So you don't need to tear up the mint or anything, but press down on any berry you could feel in there to get all of the juice out. Don't necessarily need pulp or anything out of it, but you want that juice. All right, and I'm just going to set this over here. And remember that there was something else I need to grab for this, because this does need to be double strained later on. All right, now we add our ounce and a half of vodka. And there we go. Add that in. And we're going to shake it now. By the way, I have the back door open just because it was getting warm in here. And I'm hearing the tinkling music of a ice cream truck in the distance. So if you hear any weird, creepy music in the background, that's what that is. All right. So one other thing that's going on here. We got a new refrigerator last week. So that's good. But it's not making ice as well or as fast as it should. And I haven't really got a whole... The ice maker is a little weird, so I need to work on that a little bit more. And I might use it for the next drink. But I thought what I would do, because for my birthday, I got a giant cube ice cube maker. And so I thought I'd try the how to drink cracking ice with the bartender spoon. So let me give that a try. This one. Now, I tried this a couple times, and it works interestingly. One thing I did notice is that it needs a nice flat surface for it to work. So hopefully this is a good one. But here. And I'm probably going to fling ice everywhere while I'm trying this. There we go. Actually, you know what? There we go. Actually works. All right, I can call that good. All right. When he shakes, he puts in one big cube and a broken up one like that. He must have enormous shakers, and that's not a euphemism. But Ska says ice cream. Oh yes, for the ice cream trucks going by. Good to see you, and also Ogre Marco. Good to see you too. Whack, 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 voila, ice. Yeah, I'm not as expert at it as he is, but it seems to have worked. I'm happy with that. All right. Speaking of which, I should probably have put some ice in here. Hold on a second. Get out my big bag of ice here. But not one of those big cubes in there, but I have some of these ones that look like jewels somewhere in here. That looks like jewel ice. All right. Okay, so gonna double strain this because there is a lot of fruit and plant matter in here. And the other thing I will say about this part of this drink is that it's basically all of those blackberries and things get stuck at the end of the shaker there when you're using this kind of bullet shaker. And so you kind of have to pull it back and then let it go again. And there, I think that might actually be it. Yep, that's it. Okay. And actually use my bartender spoon to kind of scrape. Let's make sure you can see that. And kind of scrape it a little bit, and that will get the liquid away from the pips and that kind of stuff that's stuck in the sieve. You might see it looks a little bit like jam in there. That's because the alcohol will actually pull out the pectin in the berries, and actually it is kind of jam or gelatin there. So we're now going to add 2 ounces of ginger beer, and I am using Cock and Bull diet ginger beer because I was using Bedford's, which is perfectly fine and good, and I just got Cock and Bull this time because apparently it's close to Pride, so I'm getting a little saucy. And I'm going to go ahead and measure this out because they actually say to, and we're doing this for science after all. So 1 and 2. And then it just says to top with champagne, which I don't think I'm going to fully top it up, but I'm going to go most of the way to the rim there. Again, using these little bottles of Cook's. They're not a sponsor, but they could be if they wanted. Just because they're a convenient size. I really like, it's decent champagne for the price. And there we go. Fizzing up a little bit. And we'll take the top of our mint here and stick it in as a garnish. And there you have it. Let me see if the camera's working for us today. Let's see. Back camera. There we go. See if I can get some light on it. Oh, nope. Never changed the batteries in the light there. So you can see it pretty well. Nice, beautiful color on it. Very red. It's a lovely drink. Looks nice. Tastes well. We'll see how it tastes in a minute. Tanya Marie says science, and Scott responded, "She blinded me with science." And everyone's now saying how pretty the drink is, and I agree. I think it is a very pretty drink. By the way, the unofficial. Let me go back here to drink. The unofficial theme of this episode, because of course I have themes for every episode, is essentially brunch for dinner. Because again, Pride's coming up, and brunch is apparently a gay thing. Is it still a gay thing? Do the gays still brunch? But anyway, here we go. And it's very nice. You get a lot of the effervescence, a lot of the blackberry flavor. The simple syrup, I think, really brings out that blackberry flavor. And of course, you're getting a lot of mint on the nose because there's a giant thing of mint right there. But let me taste it and I'll walk you through the evolution. So the first thing that hits is almost like a blackberry soda, because you get the fizz and the blackberry flavor and the sweetness, and then you start tasting the mint. Okay, let me see. Yeah, then the mint kicks in, and you get the fruit and the mint together for a minute, which, a lot of people wouldn't think would go together, but it's a traditional pairing of mint and fruit. Mint and watermelon goes well together. Mint and blackberry goes great together. And then it trails out and sort of, I don't want to say medicinal, but there's a little bit of that, I want to say almost eucalyptusy flavor, but it's not that. It's I want to say halfway between eucalyptus and mint, because you're getting the gas from the CO2 that's been in your mouth with the mint, and it makes it kind of a more herbal mint flavor than you think of like a sweet mint. So I think this is a lovely little drink. It's beautiful. It looks like, it's not as easy to make. You could make a batch of these fairly easy, at least 2 at a time, I would say. And that brings the work down. I think it is and of course, a bottle of one of these little bottles of champagne and a bottle of ginger beer, you're barely using any of. You want to use those up anyway. Speaking of the ginger beer, you see I was thinking that the ginger kind of goes away, but I think that might be the ginger and the mint and the carbonation on the finish. Actually, I think the ginger comes in early with that soda, the blackberry soda flavor, because it does. You get a little bit of that ginger ale flavor to it, and it's kind of all the way through. Now, obviously, the vodka just disappears in it because that's what vodka does. That's the point of vodka, as far as I can tell. Let's see. Ogre Marco says, according to Matteo Leon, brunch is still undyingly gay. All right, then. I will have to actually, do that one of these days. Again, now that it's getting nice. Well, it was nice. It's now in the 60s outside because it's what we in Seattle call January. It's where it's nice and gorgeous all through most of May, and then all of a sudden the weather collapses and it's cold again and it's almost back to winter. So, at least that's the typical way it goes. All right, so we've got our drink. Let's start on the food. Let me clean this up a little bit, and we will see what we can do here. I should actually talk a little bit about the food here. And I don't think I need this right now. So, actually, let's switch over to the food thing here. All right, so in the ad, I said I'm making Croque Monsieur and Croque Madame. And that's not strictly speaking true. Because it's what I call Croque Monsieur and Croque Madame. But apparently that's not actually what Croque Monsieur and Croque Madame are. Basically, alright. So, Croque Monsieur is a typical French bistro sandwich. It's normally served on pain de mie and with that's been buttered. It's got ham and Gruyere cheese, and then you butter the other side of the bread, and you either dip it in egg or you coat it in more cheese, and then you either fry it or you pan fry it, I should say, or you bake it. I have never had a Croque Monsieur served that way. To me, it sounds like you're gonna get your hands all covered with grease when you're doing that. So what I'm making is the kind that I'm more used to, which is actually closer to a baguette jambon mule, which is basically a chunk of baguette. It's been cut in half and covered in butter and ham, and then butter and then baguette. And that's what I'm used to. That's more of what I'm used to for a Croque Monsieur. And so what I make is kind of halfway in between that, but between the two. So I am using baguette because I can, and no one's going to stop me. So I'm just going to cut off a sandwich-sized piece of that. I'm actually going to make two. I'm going to make a Croque Monsieur and a Croque Madame for two reasons. One, I want to show you both of them. And second, this is Lori and my dinner. And Lori likes Croque Madame, and I like Croque Monsieur. So there you go. And I should also say that I had said, "Oh yeah, no, I can make Croque Monsieur. That's an easy thing to do, and it'll be a nice change of pace for stuff I usually do on the show." So I put it on the ad, and then I started doing my research into it to make all my notes and everything. Because unlike normal episodes, I do all the research on the cocktails, and I say, "And here's some food I made up." This time it's like, here are some drinks people made up, and this classic French dish. So I started researching it. And they were like, "Nope, what you make is not Croque Monsieur." Morning Wind says, it sounds kind of like a Monte Cristo sandwich, and I agree with that, by the way. I think the only difference is that a Monte Cristo actually has a batter on it and is deep fried. But I might be wrong on that. I've never actually made a Monte Cristo. I've had them at Disneyland, and they were quite good. And Ogre Marco says a classic Monsieur is a knife and fork sandwich, and yes, I agree. But this is my version of it, my take on it. It's not the classic version, but it is what we do. So, like I say, cut off a chunk of baguette. This is a baguette from the French bakery. You want a French style baguette because the outside will be nice and crispy. Or not crispy. What's the word I'm looking for? Crispy will do for right now. But the insides are very soft indeed. So I got this from our local French bakery, called the French Bakery. Again, not a sponsor, but could be if they wanted to. And you see, all the crust is coming off here. I'm gonna grab a couple of plates. I'll go ahead and use the big ones for this. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it off and just scrape out a chunk of, sort of the middle of it. And I know there's a word for it. Ogre probably knows what that word is, like trenching or something like that. But basically, you're scooping out a fair amount of the innards, and you set them aside. And the reason I do that, the reason you would want to do that, is because basically you can keep more of the baguette shape, and now you have a place to put the meat and cheese. But also, I'm going to compress it a little bit like a panini later. But it's just, I think it works better for a sandwich that way. And then you set in my case, you set the innards aside, at least of your wife's sandwich, so that she can eat them later. And then, I usually wolf down mine while I'm waiting for everything to finish cooking. Although I've actually been to a restaurant where they took the innards of bread like this, rolled it into a ball, fried it in butter, and dusted it with salt. So that may be something I have to research eventually. All right. And as always, not as always. In this case, there are no, quantities for any of this. It is the size of sandwich, this chunk of bread for the size of sandwich you want, with as much butter to cover it, and as much ham to fill it up, and as much cheese as you feel like. So that's kind of how this goes. And yes, on some level, I'm just showing you a ham and cheese sandwich, but it is what it is. Now I took this butter out earlier, so it's nice and soft, and I'm just gonna liberally butter it. Now, like I say, a baguette jambon beurre is literally just butter and baguette and ham. I imagine traditionally they would use a French or European style of butter, but I'm using good old American Northwest butter because that's what I've got and that's what I'm used to. I'm using salted butter because I like a little extra salt on things. You could use unsalted butter, but if you're that kind of person, whatever you prefer, your butter of choice. I imagine you could use Irish butter or other European style butters. You just want it easy to spread. If you use margarine, that's your choice. Wouldn't be mine, but that's just me. Let's see, and sip of drink. One thing I like about this cocktail, by the way, it's a good sipping cocktail. It's got a lot of strong flavors in it, but it's not a ton of alcohol for all of that. Especially with all that blackberry juice in there that I put in there. It's got a lot of strong flavors. And 8 leaves of mint is not a insignificant amount of mint, especially when you use giant leaves like I did today. Let's see. And a little bit more. Let's see. What else can I say? Not much. I mean, this is, like I say, this is the kind I've always had, and I'm sure it's because it's easier for restaurants to make this way. When you eat out at a restaurant, you might get a salad with it. I usually pair it with chips because, again, I'm healthy that way. But yeah, a nice side salad or some chips or just whatever you normally would serve with a sandwich. And it makes a lovely little dinner. Oh, I should say something about the ham. I'm about to get to the ham, so I'll say it then. Here we go. So, the ham I'm using for this is a little unusual. Let's see. Okay, turn that off. Sorry about that. And actually, one thing I may do is start that egg frying so that we can be ready. Sorry I didn't have it out. I'm still getting used to our new fridge here. Everything's in just slightly a different place because it's a little bit smaller. I lost a shelf along the way, and it's throwing me off. Alright. So frying an egg, just going to take a little butter here, put it in the pan. Actually, that's more butter than I should. There we go. Now, you can do 1 egg or 2. Doesn't really matter. 1 egg, if you cut it in half, will go the length of a baguette this size. And I'm sorry you can't see the stove. I might try and move the move things around so you can. I'm gonna break the yolk because that's how Lori likes her eggs. Ooh, and that is, I've had it on low the whole time, and apparently the heat collects there. Alright, so I better hurry up and get hers ready at least. This ham, which I was going to mention earlier. So, basically, when a ham eating holiday like Thanksgiving or Easter or something like that comes along, I wait till they have hams on sale and then get a nice chunk of ham to have for dinner one night. I don't know if I've got this. Is this the bottom? This is the bottom. Okay. And then, so we have ham, and there's, of course, a ton left because it's the size for a whole family of people, and there's just 2 of us. But what I do is, with the rest, is I cut it up, put it in bags, and save it in the freezer for whenever I need hams. It's good with, scrambled eggs or something like this. It's just always nice and convenient to have ham on hand. Which sounds weird saying it out loud, but it is true. All right. And the only problem, this is good fatty ham. Now, actually, I'm actually going to microwave this for about 30 seconds. Or not even that, maybe a little bit less. Because I want it to be warmed up a little bit. Because I am going to pan fry these, but the heat doesn't always get all the way through. So I'm going to kind of estimate how much I need here. And there we go. Wow. Okay, Ogre's talking. I will get right to that. The nice thing about doing it with the ham, that you roast that way, is that if you use the glaze on the sides, it will end up being a little on the sweeter side. Yeah. Oh, it is a trough. Okay. Oh, I think I said trench instead of trough. Okay. And Ogre Marco says, I miss cultured butter, but it's not in our budget. Yeah, same here. And he also says, when I was washing my hands, I assume earlier, that it sounds ham-handed. Ew. He actually said, ew. So, Scott, however, replied, ham-er time, which is good. Morning Wind is wincing as she cheers the buttons. Alright, so I'm going to take this off the heat, because it is plenty warm, and I'm probably getting grease on everything. I'm going to wash my hands again, because I can't stop myself, and also I don't want to get grease on everything. Alright. So, that seems like enough ham for right now. I can always add a little bit more, or just a little bit that's cold, no big deal. So, put it in for 15 seconds. Turn off that, make sure this is warming up. Alright. So, put it in for another 10 seconds or so. And I'm sorry that I'm mostly out of frame here. Just the nature of the kitchen. Alright, the ham is starting to make a little noise, so we're going to call that good. So I don't want it to cook in the oven, or in the microwave there. I just want it to sort of warm up a little bit. So, and I'm just going to divide this ham between the two sandwiches, because I'm allowed to have ham too. And I keep... Very quickly, it's going to come to the point where the word ham, I've repeated it so much that it just loses all meaning. So, also, my voice is all over the place today. I don't know what's going on with me other than I'm just been doing a lot of stuff. Been doing the show for a year. It takes its toll. I actually did the math. This is our 19th episode of Drinking with Dana, not counting the holiday mini-sodes, but it is counting the one I did at the tail end of the charity stream. So yay, that's a lot. So if I do 2 in June, and then that'll bring us up to 21. If you add in the 2 Dana Reviews Things episode, that's 23 episodes, which when I was growing up was a season of TV. So I'm feeling pretty good about that. All right, so next, some cheese. I'm using a Gruyere today because I'm being fancy. I'm not going to lie, normally I just use Swiss cheese. It's fine. It tastes good. But a more classic Croque Madame or Croque Monsieur uses Gruyere or Emmental. Everything I was seeing said that Gruyere is the traditional way, so I figured I'd give that a try. They also grate it on here. I normally just use the sandwich slices, again because it's usually what I have. So let's give this a try. Now this is also the stuff they put on the outside, so I'm hoping it melts pretty easily. I'll say Lori usually likes a fair amount of cheese on her sandwich, so that looks pretty good. And then on mine, I also like a fair amount of cheese. And I'm basically at this point just covering the sandwich with the cheese. And actually that's more than enough on mine. I might put a little bit more on hers. Handy tip, by the way, if you have one that's got the end of the bread and one that doesn't, it's easier to keep them separate. All right. So now I've got my fried egg over here. I've just cut it in half so I can cover the whole thing. Fried egg with yolk broken, like Lori likes it. You could do a one with the yolk intact if you like runny yolk. I know there are people who do. I used to actually kind of like it. Lately, though, I have kind of turned away from that. A little bit of egg there. I missed that. There we go. All right. So what we're going to do is we're going to close these up, press it down a little bit. Oh, I did mine upside down, but it doesn't matter because mine doesn't have an egg on it. But not that that really matters all that much. You can have the egg on the top or the bottom. And what I've got over here is a warm frying pan with this in it, which came with my cast iron frying pan. It is a cast iron panini press. So you don't have to use this. I just have it. I like it. It flattens the sandwich out and makes it easier to eat, in my opinion. I've been having this heat up on the stove. I am not going to put any butter in this because there's plenty of butter on the inside of the sandwich. You certainly could, and then dust it with more cheese if you like, or what have you. I don't think so, not with this sandwich. So I'm going to take these and put them in my frying pan. And I'm going to get them started, and then I'll see if I can adjust the camera so you can see a little bit better over what I'm doing, even though the side of the kitchen is a mess. So, let's see, does that... you can kind of see what's going on. So I just have the sandwiches in the pan here, and I've got this on top, and I'm just going to sort of gently press down. And I say gently because A, I don't want to, basically completely compress the sandwiches. I'm also going to turn on a timer for about 2 minutes, so I don't leave them on too long. But the other thing is I've got a glass glass stovetop, and I don't want to completely crack the counter or anything like that because I don't know, probably not even possible, but just no reason to tempt fate the way things have been going lately. And this is kind of it. You want to just reheat it for a couple minutes, flip it over, heat it for a couple minutes. If it starts getting a little brown, we'll turn the heat down. If it doesn't seem like it's getting warm enough, we'll turn the heat up a little bit. We might cut down some of the time. And basically what we want to see is the cheese starting to melt. That's the whole thing. And it, just being in general warm. So, in the meantime, I'm going to eat some of the middle of the bread. Let's see. Morning Wind says, Morning Wind says, getting really hungry. Might have to make it tomorrow. Good. Let me know how it turns out. Yeah, and also, this is, like I say, this is my dinner, or our dinner. So, yeah. Normally we order takeout or just have leftovers or something after this. Because I'm not, or just snack on what I've made on the show until it gets here. This is the actual dinner for a change. Let's see. Ogre Marco says that's the weirdest bacon weight. I don't know what I said to have triggered that earlier. And Scott says 2 birds with 1 sandwich. Yes, very much so. I have to say that was one of the nice things last week too. Is the whole film thing with the ribs didn't quite turn out, but it did provide us with dinner that night. All right. I'm just gonna use it's a little greasy, but I'm gonna use the spatula I used for the egg. Just flip these over. They're not super hot yet, but some of the cheese has gotten into the pan, so there is that. Put this on, again, lightly compress it, and set the timer for another 2 minutes. Let's see. Tanya says the panini press looks like a large bacon press. Okay. I have not. Oh, I guess I have seen a bacon press somewhere. I just. All right. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Tanya, and that Ogre. I appreciate you making the joke. I am seeing that you can kind of see up here on the top of my cabinets. These are my drying racks for herbs. I'll take a second and show you one of them. If I can reach it, I have shrunk. All right. So basically, what these are is a couple of embroidery hoops that I have strung cheesecloth through. And then I added a hinge on one side and a hook and eye on the other. And they open up. And you put herbs on one side and then close it up and let it dry. I just stick it up on the top of my cabinets because that's where it's warmest and least humid, usually. And that's how I dry herbs. And the nice thing about this is all of the hardware, including the embroidery hoops and all that, was less than $10. So you can go to Michael's and get those pretty dang cheap. The only problem I have with it is that the hinges and the hoop hook and eye, when you screw them in, it's very easy to accidentally stick the 2 halves of the embroidery hoop together. So you have to be kind of careful with that. I actually, for the hinges, ended up just using super glue. But let's see. Oh, Ogre says, definitely if you don't have a bacon weight, I highly recommend, though a press like that does all the same stuff. Um, yeah, I'm going to be honest, I've not heard of a bacon weight like that before. And these are starting to get a little on the crispy side, so I'm going to set this on just for a minute this time. Um, I assume a bacon weight is used to cook bacon and keep your bacon flat instead of all crinkly. Um, I don't know. I don't usually have a problem with that. So Tanya says, yeah, oh yeah, does keep the bacon flat instead of curly. Yeah. So I've been oven baking my bacon lately and have really not had a problem with that. Then again, I don't mind curly bacon, so I think it adds a little bit of texture, and even in a sandwich, it adds a little more volume to it. But that's just me. I imagine there are reasons why you would want flat bacon, but I don't usually run into them. So, which is probably why I don't know what a bacon weight is. Oh, geez. Yeah, it should be pointed out that I am not exactly the expert at practically anything. I'm a housewife. I've done that for many years now, and I picked up a few tricks along the way, and including using a spatula instead of burning your fingers like that. And so I decided to try and share them with folks. I'm glad I have actually knowledgeable people in the audience who can share things with you all. So Ska says, making bacon is fun to say. Yes, it is, Ska. You are absolutely 100% right on that. Ogre Marco says, I split sausages and press them. Even hot dogs makes more browning, so it makes up for not grilling. That's a very good idea. Good point. I hadn't really used that before. Morning Wind says, I have never heard of that before. You learn something new every day if you're lucky. Absolutely. Yeah, no, I am glad to have gained that knowledge as well. Cheers to knowledge. All right. Before I take those off, I'm going to turn the camera back to the room. Sorry if I'm causing people motion sickness here. All right. And here they are. And again, I should probably use a spatula for this. Except they're upside down, so I'm just flip them. Now, there is a little bit of juice in here from the ham. And by juice, actually, no, it is juice at this point. So, don't worry too much about that. If you see some liquid in there, it's not suddenly, you don't have an alien above you dripping acid into your pan or something. It's just the ham being a little funny, or a little damp. So, because these tend to be a little on the unwieldy side, I take my bread knife and I take the sandwich, put it up on the cutting board, and just cut it. I cut it at an angle for no good reason other than I started doing it one day and it is stuck. And I'll do that with Lori's as well. And Lori was not going to appear on camera today, but she may appear off camera to grab her sandwich and eat it while it's still warm. So I'm just going to set that over here for right now so she can grab it when she wants. Oh, wait, this is hers. Okay. All right. As for me, well, so one thing you could do with this, which I vaguely recall from French restaurants, is they usually have like a pot of mustard on the table. You could smear a little mustard on this. I'm not a big mustard fan, so I'm not going to. I'm just going to dig right in. Excuse me. It's great. It's a nice crunchy crust filled with ham and cheese. I may have wanted to use a little bit more of ham on mine, but honestly, it's still really good as it is. I actually might have wanted to put a little more cheese on this too, because it was grated so fine. It looked like it was more than it is. So keep that in mind. But the ham is good and it's sweet, and the butter is salty, and the bread is bread. So yeah, no, this is just a good solid dinner or brunch or whenever you want to eat it. It's a little more work than I usually put into lunch, but you do you. So, like I say, Morning Wind, when you give it a try, let me know what you think, how it works out for you. What do I think of the Gruyere versus Swiss? Like I say, right now the Gruyere is a little bit disappearing. Actually, let me give a slice of this a taste, just so I can see, because Gruyere isn't 100 degrees away from Swiss itself. Well, I guess it's closer to. It's actually tastes a little bit closer to cheddar, really, like a white cheddar. So yeah, I think I just don't have enough on here to really taste the difference. I mean, or really taste I'll really taste the difference between the two. So I don't know. I wouldn't spend the extra money if you have Swiss. I don't think it's that big of a difference. But if you have Gruyere, go for it. Try it with other cheeses. Emmental would be good. Any sort of anything that's on the Swiss to white cheddar scale, I think, would be fine. I wouldn't put a blue in it, for example. So yeah. So that is pretty much that. And let's see. Yep, goes great with the cocktail. All right, so let me tidy this up, and we will get started on the second cocktail. I'd ask if there are any questions, but again, on some level, this is just a ham and cheese sandwich that I made a little fancy. Like I say, if you're a ham or a mustard fan, I might put a little bit of whole grain mustard on that. Not while it's cooking, after. Well, I suppose you could put it in, but I'm not sure how it would work with the butter. But give it a try. See what you like. Excuse me here. That's the thing. I feel like I should be apologizing because I don't actually give that. I give recipes. I make them the way I make them, and then I say, yeah, and you can change anything you want in it. But that's true. That's true of just about anything in cooking. Adjust the recipe to your taste. Recipes are not law. They're just what someone wrote down one day. I've written down recipes too. I would want people to change them if they wanted different things in them. So, yes. All right. I'm actually going to put this just out of... Well, actually, I'll put it over here for right now. Okay. So, as I said, my general thought for this episode, my general theme for it was brunch. And of course, you're not going to have, usually when I go out to eat, especially for breakfast, if I go out to eat for breakfast, I consider it a fancy restaurant if you get both juice and coffee. So we've got the juice, so this one's going to be the coffee. Ska is saying that, yeah, it was fancy and so hungry now. Good work. Thank you. That is my job, is to make you hungry. Morning Wind says, I know, right? So I think I mentioned before that we used to watch Alton Brown's show before going to bed, and we had to stop because it made us too hungry. Same thing with Iron Chef, for that matter, I think. But we used to, especially Good Eats, we used to watch it and say, now I just want to get out of bed and make that. But anyway, so on to the second cocktail, which is a cold brew and whiskey cocktail. So let me get out the cold brew, and I got the whiskey out. If I can see what happened to my cold brew. There it is. Okay. So this is the coffee to go with our juice and our brunch. All right, and I don't think I even need this right now, so but I have no place to put it. All right. Okay. Let's see. All right. Okay, all right, okay, all right. Okay, so, let me talk about cold brew for a second. So, this is some cold brew concentrate I made up a couple of days ago. It's dead easy to make. My recipe for it is, sorry, a little more, is, 1 cup of coffee grounds. You want it coarsely ground, because the finer it gets, the more coffee particles you're going to have at the end on the bottom here. So 1 cup coarse ground coffee, 3.5 cups of cold water. Put it in a jar. Put it in the fridge for roughly 12 hours, basically overnight. Then filter it through a regular coffee filter. I have this. Let me grab it. This is a gold coffee filter I got from Starbucks years and years and years ago when I had a regular coffee maker. Now I use French presses. You could use a French press for this, but I think this works a little bit better. So anyway, just stick your cup of coarse grounds, 3.5 cups of water in a jar overnight. Filter it through whatever coffee filter you want, and then you pour it in a jar. It'll be good for at least a couple weeks. And then when you want some, just dilute it 50-50 with either water or milk. And there you go, cold brew coffee. One side note is normally with my coffee grounds, I toss them out on the lawn because they're good to basically create. They're sort of already compost. But the thing is, when you brew coffee, it extracts all the acid out of it, out of the coffee grounds. Whereas with cold brew, the whole point is you're not extracting the acid out of the coffee grounds. So I put these in the compost bin, the city compost yard waste bin, not in the on the lawn. So, all right. But because this is concentrate, I'm going to pour 3/4 of an ounce into this, and then just top it up with water. Oh, and by the way, you can actually just buy cold brew concentrate, or I think even just cold brew. If you do that, just get plain. You don't want anything that already has milk in it. It will throw this off. So that's 3/4 an ounce, and then I will just top it up with a little water. Sorry, you're going to have to look at my butt for a second. There we go. It's a little lighter than usual, but no. Oh, and the grounds I used for this were Starbucks Pike Place Blend, because I like to support our small local businesses here in Seattle. And yes, don't at me. I know they're terrible for unions. All right, so I have listed here that we're going to add the heavy cream next. Actually, yeah, let's add the heavy cream next. Both heavy cream and maple syrup stick to the inside of whatever you pour them in, so not really much difference in doing the order here. And I am going to tell you that this drink is very much a dessert drink. I had it the other day, and yeah, it's got a lot of sweet in here. So anyway, and yes, I know I'm scraping some of the cream out just because it's for me, so I don't find my fingers being in it. So let's see. Actually, I should say I don't remember if this has a ton of sweet. It has a lot of cream in it, and that for some reason, and it actually forms a bit of a whipped cream foam on top if you shake it right. So here's my ½ ounce of maple syrup. So 1.5 cold brew coffee, 1 ounce heavy cream, ½ ounce maple syrup, and of course 1 ounce whiskey. I'm finishing up the bottle on my Pendleton whiskey, just a Canadian blended whiskey we get around here. Perfectly fine, nothing fancy about it. The whiskey is going to mostly disappear into this drink. And you'll be able to taste that there is whiskey, but not much more. So, and hopefully I have a full ounce in here. It is, I did buy some more the other day, but yep, there's just a splash left. I may just drink that off camera in a minute. So, all right. So let's see what folks are saying. Morning Wind says this recipe solves my earlier craving for ice cream. Well, let me give it a try and we'll make sure it works. And then Ogre Marco says, show idea, pot stickers, Mai Tai, and some other classical Chinese restaurant cocktail. We actually did Mai Tais last week when you weren't here. I know you were busy, so I'm not blaming you, but we finally did Mai Tais for my birthday episode. But yes, pot stickers. So I actually have a recipe for pot stickers. And actually, hold on a second. I'm going to try and do the how to drink thing again. Sorry about that. So I've considered doing pot stickers on a show. The thing is, my recipe for pot stickers is the Alton Brown recipe for pot stickers, and there is a perfectly fine video of him making his pot stickers, and you can find it pretty easily. So it's kind of pointless for me to do that when he's already done it. Yeah, see, this one's cracking away from the tin. This is the problem I had the other day when I tried this. Is that I ended up with ice all over the counter and none in the actual shaker. There we go. Starting to come apart. Now, here. Set that there. Well, there we go. There we are. That works. See if I can get this one. It's a little malformed for some reason. Just dump the whole thing in. Should still work. Oh, okay. Ogre Marco says, well, okay then. I'm not going to suggest soup dumplings. Those things are very hard. Yeah, I've never made soup dumplings before. I do have a few ideas for things coming up. Let me go run them past you, see what you folks think. After I stop shaking, though. All right. That's probably plenty shaken. I'm not getting the... Well, yeah, there it is. So I'm not really getting the very thick foam that I got last time. But I think it was just hiding inside shaker. Or maybe I shook it longer or had different ice or something. Alright, so while I grate some cinnamon on here, I have a couple ideas for shows coming up. One of which is the Oops All Daiquiris show, where I was going to make a classic daiquiri, and then I want to say it's Kashaka? I can't pronounce it, but it's basically the South American version of a daiquiri. And then for the food, I was going to make daiquiri ice cream. But I want to make sure that I can actually make that in the span of a show. That would be one I think I'd have to record some parts of and play back, and I'm a little gun shy of that after last time. Ogre, you weren't here, but things went... Basically, I forgot to turn the microphone on for most of the recording, so I had to narrate over the top of it and try to remember what I had done. So, anyway, cheers. Let's see how this is. Obviously, the aroma is cinnamon, which is lovely with coffee. Highly recommend it. And the taste is oddly like a Brandy Alexander, with just because the coffee and chocolate are very similar flavors, especially when really diluted down with milk. And with the sweetness of the maple syrup adding in, it does, like I say, you get more chocolate. You get chocolate and coffee in it. The foam is a little thinner than when I made it last time, which I prefer. I think last time I overshook it, and it ended up being, like I say, almost buttery whipped cream on top. Then again, I use very, very thick whipping cream. The stuff we get at the store is soup. Since it's just heavy whipping cream, but it is, it's solid. It is serious stuff. And I think I may have just gotten like the cream of the cream in that last one, so that might have thrown things off. This one is a lot better texture. And it's cool like an iced coffee, but it is very much that a lovely after dinner coffee drink. The sweetness from the maple syrup definitely brings the sweetness. If you don't like cream and sugar in your coffee, maybe it's not for you, but I'd give it a try anyway, because it does taste a bit like, a coffee ice cream or coffee, not even a coffee milkshake or something like that. Just a good iced coffee, really. And the whiskey does tend to disappear in here. Maybe if you used one with a little sharper edges, if you used like a rye in here instead of blended whiskey. Blended whiskeys tend to be fairly smooth, especially Canadian blended whiskeys tend to be very smooth. If you use something with a few more edges to it, it might not disappear as much, but I think this does. But, let's see. Actually, you can taste a little bit of the whiskey in there, and that, I think, might also be contributing a little bit to that turning the coffee into chocolate kind of effect I'm getting. I could just sit here and drink the whole thing down, and I probably should. Well, I probably will. All right, let's be honest. But yes, this would be a lovely after dinner drink on a hot day when you don't want a piping hot cup of coffee. Also, I've been reliably informed that iced coffee is a gay thing. So here we go. That's a gay thing. There we go. Sorry, I actually had a point there. It's been a long day. But yes, no, I've tried to tie it in with pride and brunch and all of those good things. Oh, other show ideas I had. I'm thinking about doing a Dana review stuff of frozen cocktails, pre-made frozen cocktails, if anyone would be interested in that, because that I can do out on the patio, lying on a lawn chair. And let's see, I had another one that I know one of the food dishes I want to eventually get to. Oh, one thing that Lori and I had talked about, and we'll have to see if she's ever up for this, is a Drinking with Lori episode where we make all stuff that she really likes, but that I'm maybe not that crazy about, and let her kind of take the lead on it. I'd probably still do all the cooking and drink making, but we definitely focus on her tastes. So things sound positive for those show ideas. We'll see how they go. We'll see what comes up next. Yeah, and on the Lori, drinking with Lori, we would do clams the way my family makes them, which is kind of Clams Casino, but more like a cross between uh, the small clams and garlic bread. So it's a fun dish. Best served very warm, so I don't often serve it at parties. I'm not sure even Ogre has had it. Um, uh, okay, more positive feedback for the show ideas. So we will see what comes up next. Again, be sure to check out the Vigilantes Union number 13 over on the Transverse for more of me yammering on, as well as other people. So the way we're doing that show is like a comic book. It has one main storyline, and then stories, bits of stories from other characters, and it gets carried on to the next episode where another character is featured, but there's bits of story from each of the other characters, and then eventually we're going to start doing team ups and do a whole Avengers thing. So it's very fun. I would love it if you check it out. I'd very much appreciate it. Let me know what you think of it. And I think that's kind of it. Is there anything else I was supposed to announce? Lori, if you're still paying attention. So, all right. And Ogre, it turns out Ogre has not had the clams before. So, all right. Well, I will have to make them for you. One of these days, you can come over, and that's the other thing. I'm gonna try and get at least guest audience members where I can make drinks for other people, so I'm not just standing here eating and drinking in front of an audience. Well, it'd be still with an audience, but they'd be eating and drinking too. So, right. I think I'm going to call it here, folks. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you tuning in every week, all of your support, all the bits, all the subscriptions. I love you all. I appreciate them. Like I say, any bits and money that comes in from the show gets immediately spent on women and booze. So it's not going to go to waste. I appreciate it all. So thank you all, and I will see you next time. Cheers.